Zoom call gone horribly right or horribly wrong?
We'll let you decide that one. An 11-year-old boy takes a joyride on a school bus.
And a certain candidate crosses over to Animal Crossing. All this coming up and much, much more only on Nonsense News Nation, your news with a comedic twist. Now, Brandon, before we go any further, this is the first time you've forgotten to introduce me at the top of the hour.
Oh, okay. What's your name?
Hi, everybody. My name is Scott Honigman. I am the second host.
He's shaved.
Nonsense.
I'm not going to recognize him.
You can't even see my face. We're both wearing masks. If anyone can really tell.
So I really can recognize you. I thought
know.
you were like someone robbing my radio show right now. So I'm sorry. Where are my manners? How is everyone doing today? You slept well? We hope everyone is having a good day. Hopefully we'll get a nice sleep soon because it is getting a little late, Scott.
It's getting a little late. We normally do our show, well, before the event. We would do it most Saturdays at 2 o'clock. Obviously today is Tuesday at 7:30, so this is a little different for us. But I'm here. I'm vibing. I'm doing
That's
well.
right. Different isn't always a bad thing.
That's right.
That's right. All right. So without further ado, this is a show where we talk about ridiculous stories. I think it's time I give mine. Is that okay, Scott?
Brandon, give me your ridiculous story.
We're going to bring religion into this. It's not for everyone, but it's for some people. So here we go. You know the term, Scott, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, right?
I've been to Vegas.
Right. So this is a Vegas story, but this is so crazy that it may have to stay out of Vegas
And into the
spread like
public
wildfire.
light.
Yeah, people need to hear about this. This is absolutely insane. This takes place on a flight from Vegas to Detroit. Someone we're talking about here is a well-known pastor from North Carolina. I don't know what he was doing in Vegas. He may have had too much to drink, because what I'm about to tell you may question your views on everything. This is big.
Something happened.
Something very big happened, yes. So
Do tell.
it's a radio show. I have to tell. It's not like I can
I'll
visualize
stop
it.
talking.
He whipped out his holy rod, I won't explain what that is, and
What?
expelled some of his yellow holy water on a sleeping woman.
We're really opening with this?
Yes, he urinated on a sleeping woman.
Who did?
This pastor.
Okay.
A pastor. I need to emphasize this in case you didn't get this.
I gotta ask you a few questions about this. I know you have some notes here. You don't have to tell me who this man was. That's not really super important, but why did they let this person do that on the plane?
They didn't let it happen. It just happened. So let me explain the setting here. So it was towards the nighttime in the flight. Everyone was taking a little snooze. Everyone was sleeping. Mostly everyone. Hopefully the pilot was awake, but also this pastor was awake.
Yeah.
So he stood up and he gave a little squirt to the nice sleeping lady.
And why did he do that?
I wish I knew, Scott. Maybe we should get him on the show.
He's in North Carolina. He's not gonna. I don't want him to take another plane up here, knowing his track record.
He's in a jail in North Carolina right now. So this woman, she was curled up on the seat, really comfortable, and she felt a warm liquid drench her. And her quotes are so precious to me. I need to share them exactly verbatim what she said. She said, "It felt warm, like on the side of me, I felt something warm. I jump up and I seen his private area out and I screamed and that woke everybody up. By that time, I actually looked at him and I see him shake himself off and I'm like, this man just peed on me. I looked and there was a puddle of pee in the seats. I don't think he was aiming. I think it was like one of those sprinklers, one of those broken, malfunctioning sprinklers you'll see in the suburbs somewhere.
To me, this sounds like he was sleepwalking and thought he was using the restroom.
Why would you walk and use the restroom at the same time? This isn't the woods, Scott.
He was walking as he was peeing
No,
on this
you're
woman?
saying he was sleepwalking. You sleep peeing.
Well, he sleptwalked what he thought was the bathroom and then proceeded to urinate.
He's not a dog. He's a pastor.
I have to understand. This guy's a pastor?
Yeah.
I don't know if you mentioned that yet.
Yeah, many times. He's
I
a
don't
man
know.
of God.
Maybe I'm sleepwalking in this show.
Not a man of urinals.
Not a man.
Definitely not a man of urinals. So, so after this pre-Halloween spooky event, because this is our little Halloween special, Scott. This is how I'm starting the Halloween special with a pastor peeing on a woman. So this
Great.
woman named Alicia screamed. She woke everyone up on the plane. So can you imagine falling asleep on the plane and hearing a woman scream? What would you presume?
I'd
What would you think?
I'd first be like, wait, it's not a baby screaming. It's a person. It's an adult. It's not a baby this time.
Once you come to terms that it's a grown woman screaming.
I don't know. Maybe I've seen snakes on the plane. Maybe it's the snakes.
Maybe it's the snakes. Maybe it's a Sharknado. Maybe the plane is crashing. Maybe there's something with the engine. Maybe there's a bomb threat or a gun threat.
You're right.
Something very serious.
The last thing I'd expect it to be is a man urinating
A
on one of the
pastor
passengers.
urinating on a woman startled everyone, including an off-duty cop who rushed over and he detained the perverted pastor. So the pastor was said to be unwavered by any of this and silent the entire time.
So maybe he was sleepwalking. He was asleep. That's why he wasn't saying anything.
When you have,
Or maybe God told him to do it,
I don't know.
and he just didn't want to say anything else. I don't know.
When you have a cop grab you and say, you're under arrest, don't move, I feel like that would wake him up even if he was sleeping.
Right.
So let me just continue here. So this poor woman was left to stay in her yellow stained clothes for hours until the plane finally landed. So it's not like she could grab like her suitcase or whatever and put on a fresh pair of clothes. She had to sit there, scarred probably for life in
Wow.
urine clothing.
That sounds so rude. You know why? Because obviously there are going to be people who have brought luggage onto the plane and have it in the overhead compartments, and not a single person offered her clothes. Or maybe they did, but she didn't accept.
Maybe they
But
wanted
most-
to, but the stench of urine discouraged them from going near her. They thought she peed herself,
This is
maybe.
a bad human moment.
This is a very bad human moment. So she's been having a lot of anxiety after this and trouble sleeping.
Yeah. I'd
Yeah.
say.
The last time she slept, what happened? Pastor peed on her. So it's going to be a little hard getting back to that grind there. But she is grateful for the fine work of that off-duty cop who risked getting tinkled on. I hope the pastor was done tinkling before he ran over. That would be, ugh.
You could say he walked directly into the line of duty.
So the pastor's camp has made no official comment on the story, actually. We don't know if the pastor is going to lose maybe his license or whatever, or he's going to go to,
Well, even if he doesn't lose his license, nobody's going to take him seriously again after
No.
him doing something like that. So, what can he do? He can't do much to fix this.
We know what you could do, Scott?
I could tell my story.
Exactly. What a segue. What a segue. We got another story here, story number 2. Let's make it count, Scott. Let's make it a good one.
Hello, folks. I'm going to tell my story. Now, Brandon, Mr. Brandon Ellis.
Yeah.
Clearly, we are living in a not so ideal world at the moment, but with a bizarre circumstance comes bizarre events. And when the world is in chaos, there is plenty of nonsense to be found. Like what happened at Quince Orchard High School in Maryland. Last Thursday morning, an unnamed 11th grade male student turned on his computer and began his virtual world history class, a Zoom call. Unbeknownst to the rest of the class, they were about to witness a staged prank that in hindsight was pretty messed up.
Okay.
So during this Zoom call, 2 men in ski masks entered the unnamed student's room and proceeded to, quote, kidnap him.
So this is part of the prank.
This is part of a stage prank, but of course nobody in the Zoom call knows that, and there's like 20 kids in there watching this happen. While one man, quote, kidnapped the student, the other approached the computer and began waving what looked like a pistol in front of the webcam. Concerned about her student, the world history teacher called the local police department. Well, when the police arrived at the student's home, they found 3 boys laughing their butt cheeks off. This was a staged prank, as I mentioned earlier. This sounds like something you and I might think of doing if we were in a Zoom class together.
Right. Thankfully, I graduated before the pandemic, so this can't be an option for me. But
If we were high schoolers, we probably would have done this. I mean, maybe not in college, but well, who knows?
hopefully not in college.
No.
Well, hopefully not ever, honestly. But I'm a little baffled here. So when the cops came, they were laughing.
The cops came. The boys were laughing about the prank that took place, and the police thought it was a serious thing.
You
And
can imagine cops coming in, guns a-blazing, because there's what they believe to be an armed robbery.
right.
I don't think my first reaction would be to chuckle a little bit. It would be to, well, soil myself
Well,
And
the boys weren't literally laughing the second the police walked in. The boys were laughing because the prank happened, and the cops soon realized it was a prank. And that was, I mean, I'm sure the cops
can you
weren't
imagine
too happy.
they look out the window? It's the cops. We got them.
Got him, Scoop.
So what happened? Did they get expelled from Zoom class? How do you?
No, I
Are
don't
there even
think so.
expulsions anymore in school?
How do
What do you expel? Do you cancel? Do you lose your internet privileges? How do you expel a child from school these days?
You have to do something so horrible on a Zoom call. Something like what the pastor did.
Or what about suspension? You can't tell someone to go home. They're home.
I don't. It's hard enough getting students to keep up with all the work, so it'd probably be in your best interest as an educator to do everything in your power to make sure that student.
I'm just surprised the class were able to pay attention and see this prank. Most kids would just be, I don't know, playing Among Us on their phones or something. I'm surprised
All these
they were even
youngins.
looking at the screen in the first place. So.
I just want to take a second to say I hate Among Us. I hate that game. I don't like it. People should stop asking me to play it with them because I don't want to play. And I played it a handful of times. It was okay then. It's not okay anymore.
So what's okay? Let's talk about Among Us for a second. What's the big craze there? Because it's a game. It looks like little Teletubbies. You play as looks like little Teletubbies, and like you have to. It's like a whodunit game. You have to see who is murdering, who's the one murderer out of all the group, and you have to investigate.
You play with a group of people,
Okay.
and like you said, you play as little Teletubby-looking creatures, human beings
That's
that walk around.
Poe, Tinky Winky, Lala, and Dipsy. Everyone.
But there's 8 of them, so there's more than just that. Essentially, what happens
Teletubbies,
is
the next generation.
you can either spawn in as a crewmate, and in the game, if you're a crewmate, you have a series of tasks to complete throughout this world that you're in, or you could spawn in as an imposter, and an imposter sabotages all the tasks that the crewmates have to do, and they can also kill the crewmates. It sounds fun, and I had fun the first couple of times, but now everyone's asking me to play, and they should stop. I don't want to play.
We don't have time for this. We don't have time for your childish Teletubby games.
We're men doing a manly radio show. We have better
Super
things to
manly.
do. Anyway,
What's a task in the game? Making Teletubby toast?
I mean, when you play... have you played?
No.
You've never played? So, when you're playing in the game, there's different areas of the world that you can go into.
Okay.
And in those areas, there are things that are broken and you have to repair them. Like,
Okay. this
you're,
is
you're,
fun.
you're essentially on a spaceship, and, you know, there are different... There's navigation, there's
It's like the things in
cafeteria.
Star Trek they babble on about that average people don't understand. It just
Yeah.
seems like it's a game based off of that.
It's you can honestly think of it as you're on the Enterprise, and different areas of the Enterprise need to be repaired.
Even Star Trek now, they've lost their way and it's more action based rather than storytelling. So
Yeah.
even Star Trek doesn't do that now.
Of the little of Next Generation I saw, that's what I liked most about it was the characters and the storytelling and the dialogue.
Right.
And if Star Trek's in like an action movie now, that's sad.
It's very sad, but you know what would cheer you up?
Another story.
My
from
next
life.
story
Oh,
number
you
3.
read
Let's get
my
right
mind.
to it. Okay, so we talked about Among Us, right?
Yes.
This story has nothing to do with Among Us, but
Okay.
children like Among Us, right? They floss to it, right?
They floss and dab and TikTok to it.
They make TikToks about Among Us. So we're going to talk about a kid. This isn't just any kid, Scott. This is a kid that stole a school bus and was chased by the cops.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Why'd that happen and how'd that happen?
Scott, I wish I knew. I wish I could
Who let
get
this
the
kid?
parents on this radio show and they could explain themselves. Before we had the radio show and I was talking to Scott, I mentioned the story and he went Magic School Bus. That was his first response. The funny thing, when I found this article originally, the first image was the Magic School Bus.
That's what because it's a bunch of kids on the school bus. I don't know. That's the first thing that comes to mind.
Listen, if Miss Frizzle is your teacher and you look up to her and she's your role model, then you're going to be a little crazy. She brought the kids to space one episode and one kid took off his helmet in the vacuum of space. Of course, that's going to mess you up in the head.
Do you think that all of the Magic School Bus, it's just a series of drug trips? Like Miss Frizzle is a teacher that gives the children acid and shrooms, and that's the whole show because she literally can't take them to space. Obviously,
That explains why their teacher's assistant is a literal lizard. and why their school bus has eyes. And why they went inside a kid and they shrunk the school bus.
Yeah.
And they went through the kid's body.
We don't have all day.
Do you believe in magic? No?
I believe in
then
drugs.
Believe in drugs. So anyway, back to the not-so-magic school bus. This took place in Baton Rouge. And police were chasing a rogue school bus swerving down numerous spike strips. And this joyrider was an 11-year-old boy. Not even old enough to have his bar mitzvah yet. Not even 13.
So close to being a man.
Yeah. Maybe in Israel this would be a norm if he was 13. But he's 11. He's a little guy. He's actually so small that he had to stand up to reach the pedals on the bus. So he's standing while driving. And get this, you would think that would be difficult to drive, and he'd immediately stop or crash. The cops are on his tail for 30 minutes, for over 30 minutes.
This kid is a professional NASCAR driver.
He probably goes to Dave & Buster's every day and plays. He stands up because he's small and plays like Need for Speed or something, or Mario Kart for hours. I don't condone this behavior at all.
Of course not. But it's hilarious.
But it's hilarious. Yeah, wow, what a great radio story. Okay. So, while being pursued by the police and standing while driving, two very difficult things that would put anyone under tremendous amounts of pressure, the boy had enough composure to stick his hand out of the window, and he flipped off the officer. This 11-year-old boy.
Continue.
Okay, so I just can't believe he had enough composure, but he did that, and even with his serious NASCAR skills, he did eventually crash into a tree.
Was he alone in the bus?
I think so, yeah.
Just imagine a bus full of kids, or it's like a public bus with senior citizens.
No, it's a school bus.
Okay.
Remember in the beginning of my story, I said there was a picture of the magic school bus?
So it was
a school bus.
It was a magic school bus that flew into space.
Exactly. He was trying to lift off into space, but the cops got him.
Maybe he was the one.
Miss Frizzle told me to do it, the red-haired woman.
Tell it to the judge.
They shrunk me down.
Oh, Rick.
There's one kid in the magic school bus that was always like against going on a field trip. It's like, oh, field trips, not again. That was probably him trying to scrape Miss Frizzle.
That was the ginger kid, right?
Yeah, it's you. You're a ginger kid. Did Miss Frizzle touch you, Scott?
On the shoulder when we were driving through the space, yeah.
When you're driving through space?
Yes. It was fun.
When you're fighting the Klingons with Miss Frizzle.
On the Enterprise.
Going to the Dagobah system. Miss Frizzle said, look over there, and she touched you on the shoulder. I'm sorry. I understand why someone like you and this boy would steal the magic school bus in rebellion and retaliation to try to escape from Miss Frizzle's magic wrath.
No, I'd love to go with Miss Frizzle because we're in space and the coronavirus is not in space.
Oh, true. Okay. You
Unless
just can't breathe. You really can't breathe in space. You have a better
it's
chance
a magic school bus. It has oxygen in it. Magic oxygen that you can see.
Well, the coronavirus is dark magic, Scott.
Oh, no. But it's not coming with us when we leave unless Miss Frizzle caught it before we left.
Anyway, Scott, we're getting into the realm of fan fiction.
We don't want to go there.
Let's go to the land of nonfiction instead, and you could tell us your last story here.
Yes, my last story is a work of nonfiction. So as you all know, well, as you know by now, listeners, Nonsense News Nation is not really a political show at all. But however...
Is it getting political now?
Sometimes politics and nonsense, they intersect, and since it's our duty to reveal all the nonsense in this world, we'll happily report any story, even if it is political. So, as all Americans know, an important date is coming up. A day in which people dress up, they go out at night, and they party.
Election day.
That's right. Get a party, pick the party, go out at night, you dress up to...
Well.
Stupid. Anyway, that's right, I'm talking about Election Day. Joe Biden, who's the Democratic nominee for president, and his team have been exhausting all efforts to reach voters in the past few weeks, especially leading up to the election. And they have just found a new way to do so by launching their very own island on Animal Crossing.
Oh my god, I saw this.
You did?
I did.
I don't know much about Animal Crossing, but I do know you can have your own island and
So
have a
Animal
community.
Crossing, for those not acquainted, is a Nintendo video game franchise where you're this little person. You talk to anthropomorphic animals, and you're in massive debt, so you have to collect rocks from the ground and sell them to a raccoon.
That sounds riveting. I'd
And
love
you go
to do
fishing and you sell that just to get out of your crippling debt. And this time you're on an island, so you're stranded too, and you're in debt as well. And Joe Biden decided to make to be in crippling debt in Animal Crossing: New Horizons.
Anyone who says Joe Biden's great for the economy realize he's in debt in Animal Crossing.
Because Tom Nook, he's got him.
Anyway, if you were to join Biden HQ, which is the name of his island, Biden HQ, you would be greeted by a virtual man who looks and even talks like Joe Biden. And I mean that.
A lot of stuttering.
When you in Animal Crossing, seriously, when you approach Joe Biden in Animal Crossing, he says no malarkey.
Really?
That's the message.
So
that
this is
pops up.
official.
Yeah, this is
legit.
This was created
And he
by
says
Joe
no
Biden's
malarkey.
team. Yes,
Malarkey's pretty much a meme at this point.
and he gets
And he
it.
embraced the meme.
How do you do, fellow kids? That's what he's trying.
Exactly. He's trying to be hip and relevant.
On Joe Biden's island, you can learn more information about his campaign, or you can learn about his campaign for the first time. Find out how to help.
For the first time.
If you just stumble across his HQ, you can find out how to help his campaign, and you can also find out where your local polling station is.
Could you imagine playing Animal Crossing and meeting Joe Biden?
What is it like? You get a ticket and you fly to his island by accident. I don't know how that can happen, but you type in the wrong code and it's Joe Biden's code.
Hello, fellow kids. Ready to play some Call of Duty?
This is Animal Crossing.
It's Animal
man.
Crossing, Mr. Biden. It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I mean, like, when Mike Bloomberg was running for president, he did a lot of stuff like this. He had a lot of Instagram accounts. He paid meme accounts on Instagram to push his campaign.
Times are changing, and
I mean, that's how you reach a younger demographic.
I can't believe. Well, you know Biden's sacrificing his time by paying $60 for a game that should be $40 and making his campaign based off of that. I respect that.
One of his campaign promises should be, I will make games that are $60, $40.
I will make this game $40 so every. Is this a taste of what Joe Biden's presidency is going to be like? If you go to Joe Biden Island, you're gonna. It's going to be a taste of Joe Biden America. I'm curious.
I don't think. I mean, it's literally just if you were to walk into a Joe Biden presidential headquarters, it would just be like a replica of that.
Now in
Or-
Animal Crossing, the people are animals.
Yeah,
Is that Joe Biden's dream?
an
'Cause this is his
anthropomorphic
island.
world.
Yeah. It's gonna be like the Amazing Spider-Man, where the villain tries to turn everyone into lizards. He's gonna turn everyone
which
into
one
animals.
Was that? Which one was that?
From 2012. He fights the lizard, and his ultimate goal is to turn everyone into lizards.
That's
like
so
him.
dumb.
It is. Joe Biden, is that what you want to do?
I don't think he wants to do anything like
Anyway,
that.
I have nothing but respect and admiration, although I don't have the attention span for Animal Crossing. I respect that he's trying to be hip and cool, and he's not playing Among Us, Scott, because I know that triggers you, that Teletubby-looking game.
There was a senator, like AOC. She was streaming Among Us. That's just funny to me. But I don't want to talk about Among Us anymore. It looks like we're slowly or quickly running out of time here. We have a couple minutes, but
3 more minutes.
yeah. So Halloween is coming up, and me and Brandon actually did something for Halloween recently, even
Right.
though it's 2 weeks away. Brandon works for, we won't say where, but he works for this I'll just say nature
The
preserve.
Nature Preserve, it has a museum, an exhibit, and something we have is like a spooky fest. So we have, even amongst the COVID
Kind of gives it
world,
away where you work now. I mean,
Whatever.
it's a spooky-
I
I don't care.
even with COVID, we're doing our very best to make a socially distant, friendly, pandemic-friendly sort of spooky event. And one thing is a scary hike in the woods. So after my job, after I worked hours, I put on a scary mask and I went to the woods, and Scott and I scared some children. It was beautiful.
That's right. We were the Spooky Fest isn't just this one walk in the woods. There's a lot of different events, but we were at the very end of the spooky walk in the woods. So before the exit, the people walking would see would be me and Brandon. So we would scare them. We would say it's over, but it never ends. We did this for about an hour, and my voice was shot.
Yeah, I don't know how we have the ability to do radio, but we did it because we love you, everyone.
We pulled through.
We're grateful for you, and thank you for listening. It means a lot.
It does mean a lot. I know we haven't been consistent with the show. We haven't been back in quite some time, but we're here today at a very different time, and we love doing this. We love talking about stories in the news that are crazy.
Hopefully we'll be back next month to do the same old thing again.
I hope so.
Right? We'll have more information on our social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We'll get to you on that. If you want to hear more from us, I sure hope you do. We're on iHeartRadio, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube, amongst other things. We have a website, nonsensenewsnation.com. If you want to contact us personally, you can contact us at nonsensenewsradio@gmail.com. That is nonsensenewsradio@gmail.com. Once again, I've been Brad Noss.
I have been Scott Honickman.
And this was Nonsense News Nation. Your news with comedic twist, only on WGBB AM 1240 radio. See you next time. Peace.
Bye. Thanks for listening.